Well, what do you think? That's a two-rail car behind this three-rail engine. I picked that three-rail engine up. That's a little, one of those little Lion Chief 080s. And I picked it up for 50 bucks. And the reason I picked it up for 50 bucks was because it was painted. Somebody tried to paint it into a Southern engine. It looked like, anyway. It had this green paint slathered all over it. Terrible green paint. Terrible paint job. I think they brushed it on with a roller. Anyway, I was able to get it a lot of it off the engine before I reshot the engine in its proper black. Now, fortunately, whoever did such a stupid thing took and was smart enough to at least mask off the road number and the Union Pacific Herald and road name there. So that was still intact, but there was green paint everywhere else. Some people. Anyway, I picked it up for 50 bucks. I couldn't complain. I tell you what I'm thinking about doing with it. I'd kind of like to, since it's not going to ever be super valuable, because number one, it's a Lion Chief, and number two, because somebody had already ruined it by messing up the paint job on it. I'm thinking about, since there's only two wires really going between the engine and the tender through this so-called drawbar. The drawbar makes the connection, and all that's in the tender is the speaker. So all I got to do is find a way to tether the wires across, and then I can draw this tender in a little bit closer to the cab, and it would look a little better. Wouldn't look so far out. And then maybe extend the pilot by a scale foot or so out to here, and maybe put in a pilot truck and make a consolidation out of it, or also put in a trailing truck and make a Mikado out of it. What do y'all think? Leave it in the comments. Anyway, I'm having fun with my little Lion Chief 080. I'm enjoying the sound. You know, something I've never had before. Yeah, I know, it's three-rail. Both of these cars back here are Lionel. And let me pull forward just a little bit here. Okay. It disconnected. Even though okay. Even though Lionel couplers and KD couplers will connect to each other just fine. Both these cars are Lionel. This one I went to the trouble of converting to two-rail. So it's got Intermountain trucks and KD couplers on it. This one here, I'm not going to bother. I got this one here for 10 bucks. Normally this particular hopper is, you know, they average about 25 bucks a piece. But I've seen them as low as $12 and as high as, you know, $45 or so. But usually they're right around the $25 mark. The reason I got this one for $10 is because somebody had really done a really crappy weathering job on it, which I did come in and somewhat straighten out myself. So, you know, that was at our big Lionel shindig last Saturday over at Dana's Railroad Supply. I guess it was International Lionel Day or National Lionel Day or some silly crap like that. Anyway, there was nothing I could do about the paint on the tender on this engine. If I'd have tried to strip it off, I'm afraid the plastic is of such low quality on that tender that it probably would have just ruined the tender. It would have melted it. And that's just using brake fluid or the Purple Pond or something like that. So and of course I couldn't sand it off. because the tender is all plastic except for the base plate. The engine itself, however, is die-cast, so it was fairly easy to fix. I went through 3 Dremel wire wheels with that, but I got a good amount of that paint off, and as you can see, the engine doesn't look too bad. The tender doesn't either. When I shot the flat black one, now of course I masked off the Union Pacific. Like I said, the guy who originally messed it up was smart enough to at least do that. But the 4520 here rolls again. Anyway, this is it for this Withlacoochee River report. I guess I didn't highly offend it. I may have offended some 2-railers out there because I'm sitting here running 3-rail trains. Hey, I play with trains regardless. I play with what I want to play with, all right? And that's just the way it is. Well, tomorrow, now, this is Friday the 9th. Tomorrow, we are going to be at the monthly train sale at Dana's. Now, that's one of the things I missed last month, reporting on it, and I've missed a lot. I've missed several weeks because my wife being in the hospital and then in rehab and stuff like that. It's, you know, it's basically been one of those stories of life gets in the way. So I thought I would go ahead and while I had time today, go ahead and give somewhat of a report. Tomorrow we're going to be over at Dana's Railroad Supply, and hopefully I'll make some money and have a little fun. Until next time, happy railroading.